Coffee with the Chair was recorded before a live studio audience.
Welcome. Listen to that rousing applause. We have a real audience today. Nice stuff. Welcome to Coffee with the Chair. I am Teresa Aronson from the St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce. It's my pleasure, my honor to facilitate this event. We do it every single month. It's free. It's open to the public. Steamworks brings us in coffee and Danish, and we really tell people a lot of stuff they really should know if they're living here in St. Lucie County. And the best person to help me out with that is, of course, the Board of County Commission Chair, right? My co-host, Mr. Sean Mitchell. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, as always. Like,
Always
you have a choice.
pleasure.
It's on your schedule. Susie says it's time to go.
Get here
and
and
you
be on
show
time.
up here. Yes, yes. And you brought a guest today.
I certainly did. With us today is George Landry. He handles all the solid waste, and we're going to talk a little trash today.
We are always talking trash, it seems like, in this community. And if we aren't talking trash, people are talking about trash about us. So, yes. Welcome, George, to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And Administrator Tipton was just here, and he wanted to make sure I thanked you for your service, too. As you are, of course, a veteran. We appreciate that. So what do we want to talk about trash? So let me just preface this today, give you a little background. In the city of Fort Pierce, they have their own trash. It's picked up by employees. Those are employees of their own in the city of Fort Pierce. The county in Port St. Lucie were both using Waste Pro.
Correct.
They had separate contracts. So all of that stuff you're reading in the newspaper and online and Facebook is typically about the city of Port St. Lucie, because we in the county are keeping Waste Pro as our vendor, correct?
So far, and I'll let the professional
yeah, I was just going to say, maybe
it,
that's a question for George, and I hope it's not loaded.
Yes, no, it's not loaded. Thank you. Yes, so you are correct. We have a separate contract with Waste Pro. Our contract for the county unincorporated serves just under 21,000 residents. Although a lot of similarities in our contract as the cities, there are some differences. Number one being our cost is a little less expensive than the cities was with Waste Pro, and we have a few different service differences in the contract. So with everything that's happening with the city and Waste Pro, it has no effect on the county's current status with Waste Pro. And Waste Pro has kind of indicated to the county on multiple occasions their commitment to restore the service to where it was pre-pandemic within the county unincorporated, and wants to continue being our vendor as long as we're willing to have them. So right now we're working through everything with them, and if they can meet their obligations, we're hoping that the board chooses to stay with them. If not, we'll do whatever we need to do.
So people ask me all the time about trash, and I say, well, in the county, your service is going to get real good in September, because
that's the silver lining.
Yeah.
Yes.
So because everything that they're pulling out of Port St. Lucie, they can dedicate some of that to the county. And if you're in the city, we'll work through it.
That is correct. Yeah. So that's one of the things that we're looking forward to see in September. Some of the challenges that Waste Pro's had with, on top of staffing, is also some vehicles, right? There are some vehicles that we needed in the unincorporated area due to our little bit of growth, as well as just, age of their inventory and things. And so they've had trucks on order for over a year, trying to get them in to meet the needs in the unincorporated. Now with this transition, they've assured us that their excess equipment will get diverted over to the unincorporated, as well as some of their other contracts. Same with personnel,
right?
Yeah.
They've indicated that they're not going to release any employees with this change in contract. They have homes for every one of their employees, whether it be unincorporated or in some of their other areas that they currently have contracts with. So it would be no hardship to any of those folks working for Waste Pro. And they've been really committed to try to reestablishing the relationship with the county and get it back to where it was. I can tell you so far, for probably the past month and a half, we've seen a huge reduction in our complaints and a way better quality of service from them over the past month and a half, and we're just hoping that it continues to keep going.
Very good. And so the facility, the dump here in St. Lucie County, is run by the county. So tell us a little bit about that facility and how others use it.
So our landfill has been open since 1978. It's about 331 acres totally. It's a multifaceted facility, so not only do we do the garbage, yard waste gets processed independently from the garbage. Construction and demolition also gets processed independently from both of those. We also have the Treasure Cove single stream recycling facility, which services not only you know, St. Lucie County, but Martin County, Indian River, some of Okeechobee, the city of Fort Pierce, you know, things like that brings the recycling
They bring
to
it
us.
and drop it off.
To us, yes. So currently it's got a lifespan just a little bit beyond 2060. So a few more expansions happening from within inside the landfill, but it does serve all of St. Lucie County
and even more. The single stream for sure, even more. And single stream, how does that work? Because I always hear there's not a lot of market for recyclables right now.
So what's interesting is since this pandemic's hitting and with all the manufacturing challenges and things going on worldwide, recycling commodities have really taken off. So we've had good success over the past 18 months with our recycling commodities, and all signs show, you know, it should sustain that for about the next 24 months. So we're hoping that the commodity prices that we're currently receiving will sustain, and even if it does take a dip, it doesn't fall back to where it was pre-pandemic. So that facility is self-sustaining. The revenue that it's generating covers all of its costs and provides a little bit back to help the solid waste, the other side of the solid waste department.
And I know in years past, I mean, these have been huge amounts of money. Are you able to share that a little bit with us? I know it's probably public record, but.
Right. So, give you an example. Last month, the revenue, the gross revenue before expenses for recycling was just under $700,000 for the month. So when you take out the expenses, the remaining balance helps fund the other functions of the landfill. Because as you know, we don't take any dollars from the general fund, any tax dollars whatsoever. It's the landfill is completely operated off of the fees that come across the scale.
So it's an enterprise fund.
It's an enterprise fund.
Self-sufficient.
Yeah. So when you think about things, is, you know, for the county unincorporated resident, right? Their current assessment's roughly around $276 and some change for an annual assessment. Part of that money WastePro doesn't get all of that money. Part of that money is paid back through WastePro based on the tonnages coming across the scale. So as they collect the garbage and they come in and dump at the landfill, they come across our scales and we bill them for the tonnage. So part of that assessment money goes into paying the tonnage fees coming in that way. So it roughly comes out to about 35–40% of that assessment money is basically coming in as tons for yard waste garbage or C&D, you know, into the landfill.
So you're recouping some of that.
Right. Yeah. We don't charge for the recycling coming across the scale because we want the recycling, and then we can process it, and then obviously the revenue stays in house and goes back to help supplement that to try to keep that assessment as low as possible.
Very good. Trash talk is always really very interesting, you know, both metaphorically and literally, to be honest with you. We talk about recycling a lot sometimes, and you know, I've been doing it for, how long have we had single stream?
So it initiated in 2014.
2014.
And then in 2017 we did an expansion on it to make some improvements, and then, you know, we're continuously looking at how to improve that process and get better quality out of there.
Every year I take leadership out there and I learn something new that I'm doing wrong with my recycling, to be honest with you. And it's been, you know, 8–9 years and I still am not getting it exactly right. Last time it was pizza box tops. Any grease, it's no good, right? Right,
yeah. So like your Publix bags, your Walmart bags, any type of wrapping of plastic, you know, that wrapping stuff, that's no good for there. You know, greasy styrofoam isn't good. We have a separate processing for styrofoam, separate drop-off locations for styrofoam. Food, you know, food is not good. Food left in the containers isn't good, things of that nature. You know, we tend to get, people seem to think like there are small propane tanks or even diapers might have some recycling component. They do not, you know, sort of thing. So but that machine does pretty good. We have probably roughly around 30 employees per shift. We run 2 shifts out there to maintain the quantity and keep producing the recyclables. So there's about 30 people per shift, and they stay pretty busy. Yeah, I've seen it run. It's very interesting.
It's amazing to watch that because that thing's flowing.
And it uses air and different pressures to knock out the bags and to separate the paper, and it's pretty interesting.
It is. It's amazing.
I know. I recommend taking a tour. Although when I was when I first started leadership tour out there, we used to go up there and watch it work. Well, I think it became a little dangerous because it was a splash zone. And so we had to stop going up there. And I remember getting splashed with the recycling belt and thinking, I don't know what that was.
You don't want to know.
I don't want to. I'm going to think it's fresh water. They're just washing the recycling. Yeah. It's funny, the mayor of Fort Pierce said that she actually puts her recycling in the dishwasher if she can. before she recycles.
Wow.
I am not that committed. I'm not going to lie, George. That's not happening at my house, but that's pretty good, right?
That is terrific.
I thought I
cleaner
was
the
pretty
material,
good with mayonnaise jars and things
You
like
gotta
that, because
rinse
I'll
it
rinse them out,
Yeah.
soda cans, bottles,
Yeah.
rinse them out, and then put them out in the recycling
I do rinse
bin.
them out too, because you don't want that stuff in your recycling bin anyway. But I'm not dishwashing those things. So I always feel like if it's a little hard, or it's not flimsy or see-through, then check your recycling bin. Like check the top and see what can go in it. But yeah.
They do, and we also have an app that you can take off, from off the St. Lucie County website, and you can download that app to your smartphone, and it's actually for recycling, and you can type in the type of material
Whatever
that
you
you
got.
have, and it'll tell you if it's recyclable or not. Each of them, especially in the plastics, they all have numbers associated with them, and each number will tell you if it's a recyclable number or not, so you'll know right then and there. But it's a free app that folks can download, and they can check anything that they have in reference to they think of as garbage, including paint or anything else, and it'll tell them if we can take it, we can't, and how and how to dispose of it properly.
And paint is if it's oil-based, no, and if it's water-based, you just harden it.
Yes, yeah, you want to harden
See,
it.
I listen in leadership
You're
class.
not just another pretty face.
No, I am not just another pretty face. I listen, I learn, I take it away, and I tell others.
Good.
So yeah, oil-based has to be recycled with hazardous.
Right.
And then if you have water-based paint, you can put a hardener in it. You can buy it at Home Depot and stick it in there.
Yeah, the team at the landfill does an amazing job, right? So we try to put as minimal stuff we have to into the hill. So we separate tires, and those get recycled through a contract with Liberty Tire. Our household electronics, they get recycled through a separate vending source. The household hazardous waste, the fuels, the greases, the oils, there's vendors that come and pick up that stuff. Concrete, all sorts of different material, wood, everything we try to separate and reprocess in some fashion instead of just dumping it into the hill and into the ground. So the only thing that goes in the hill is stuff that we cannot have any offtake for that has to go in there, right?
And it's interesting because it's going to last that long, but you guys do a lot of stuff to try to minimize everything that's going in there. Even and then you have a deal with Tropicana as well to do some. Can you tell us about that?
Sure, absolutely. So the landfill produces a methane gas in a large quantity, and so it goes through a little processing facility that we have there that cleans it, and then we ship over the gas to Tropicana, and they pay for it when they get it at a discounted rate. So it helps run the Tropicana facility and helps keep their costs down to maintain, be a good employer in St. Lucie County. So we supply them with as much gas as they can take, and it helps out all around.
We're all trying to do our part. So what do you envision it's going to look like in 2060? I mean, it's like the only hill we have.
Right. Well, the county's currently exploring lots of different avenues, right? So there's different ways to go. One way, which isn't very popular, is do we look out west and consider a new landfill, buying property and going through that process, and that takes about 20 to 30 years to do that from start to finish, and it's not a very favorable way to go, and it's not something that we really are looking forward to or wanting to do either. Other alternatives are looking at other landfills around the state that have capacity and maybe doing a contract and hauling the garbage to them. But the most intriguing one that we're really trying to zero in on is waste energy, and trying to turn our waste into some sort of energy product. Right now the most efficient way out there is converting it into electricity. So in talking with FP&L and other sources out there, we're looking to see if there's some sort of market or way to do that and how to do it. Any of those kind of things that try to improve the environment and do better things come at a price. So we have to weigh that option, right? Is what's sustainable for our residents, but also what makes sense long term. So we're exploring all those options, and we're hoping here in the next year or two we have a strong way to go, and we can present and work forward to look at what that future would be for all of our residents and the surrounding communities.
Yeah,
and I believe Palm Beach County did that maybe 6-7 years ago, George.
Yeah, they've been doing it. Yeah, their newest facility came online a few years back, but they've had one that was in existence for about 30 years or so. An older type of technology, but their newer technology is, and it runs at about 98% efficient, and it's doing really well. So, so they're minimizing what they put into the ground, and that's something that we're looking at as well.
I'm sure the upfront costs on that are probably pretty significant, is my guess, though. But yeah,
they are.
In the long term, it's like solar. It'll pay for itself in 30, 35 years. But well, we'll get there.
Also, it's funny, when I went out for a tour with George a couple months back, they had a lot of birds that were coming, crows and things of that nature. And simple answer, he went to the store and he got a couple, well, you can tell the story, George, but I think it's pretty interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, so once in a while, obviously with the landfill, right, you get a lot of creatures that come there and check out. It's a food source, and so this past season we had quite a lot of birds, more than seemed like normal, there at the landfill. So we were always looking for different ideas to do, and amongst the team, we decided to get some plastic wolves, dogs or wolves, and so ordered them off Amazon. They showed up. We started with 2, and we put them out by the employees' parking, because a lot of the birds were landing on there and
And
making a mess on the employees' cars,
scratching.
and morale's key to the success of the landfill. So by putting those out there, the birds all stayed at a distance, and it was interesting because they would stay far enough away, and they were just watching these plastic wolves to see if they moved. And the interesting thing about them is they had a tail that was made out of material, so the tail would wag with the wind, so it looked like a real animal there. So they stayed away. So we ended up with a few more, and now we're all that area is bird free, and it's been pretty
Do you move them around? I feel like they learn though, so you got to move them around a little bit.
Oh, and they do.
They do.
The employees have really bought in, and they've taken a lot of fun. So you see them out there playing with them and moving them around, and they put dog bowls out by them like they're feeding them, and it's just pretty interesting. So everybody has fun with it and sends me pictures.
But it works.
It does, because they do learn. My neighbor has a couple of owls on his dock, and that's exactly where the birds perch, is on top of the owls, because they learn. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, yesterday we had I got a photo text to me. We had a bald eagle on the hill, and it was beautiful. Nice bald eagle there at the landfill. Just
not on a flag, on a landfill.
Yes, just so you know, first of all, it's the best buffet in town, right? If you're a bird or any kind of wild, whoosh, the world is your oyster. And bald eagles, we really put them on a pedestal of being these birds of prey, and we have a couple that are in our backyard, as you know, and they will get in a fight with a vulture over a dead rabbit on the road in like a heartbeat. They are just as much a scavenger as every other bird, so it's very interesting. But they are beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very good. Nice stuff. Is there anything you want people to know about their trash service right now? Is there any messages you want to help us get out there?
So yes, I mean we're always trying to improve and make sure we keep the highest of service to our residents. So what helps us is the feedback. So if they're it's one thing to contact Waste Pro and let them know, which is the great way to go, because they need to know as well. But they can reach out to the county and to our solid waste team and let us know if they're having any service challenges. And then we have actually a customer relations coordinator that works specifically for solid waste.
Dana?
That's Dana DeFrancisco.
Well, she'll cheer you up in like 5 minutes, no matter how mad they are. I bet after she's done talking to them, they're fine.
And she's really taken that job to a level that we didn't expect. And she's out on the streets every day, and she's in all county unincorporated neighborhoods everywhere, and she's very responsive, and she'll look at everything, and she tracks it well, and she stays after it. So the key is getting her the information. So sometimes if somebody contacts Waste Pro, we don't know. If they contact us, we know, and then we can let her take a look at it. Yeah, and we're having great success that way. So she's been a great addition to the team. And
she's like a first responder. She puts the fires out.
Yes, she does. I see her very good at that job. Yeah,
yes,
cheering you up, making you feel better about it, calming you down. I get it.
So I can just tell you that the team at Solid Waste is probably one of the best teams that I've ever worked with. I mean, there's only 3 days a year that the landfill's closed, on the 3 holidays, right? And that's it. And they work through storms, they work nonstop. Through this pandemic, they worked tirelessly, through to maintain everything. I mean, this team out there, it's kind of the unsung heroes, right? Because everybody thinks it's trash, it's the landfill. It's a very, very tough job, and that team out there is probably the best.
Is at the landfill. On occasion, there is a smell. Just occasionally, there's a smell, and their offices are right there.
Yeah, and they respond to everything and anything, day or night. That team is amazing. It's probably one of the best teams I've worked with in St. Lucie County.
Good.
And I've probably been out there a dozen times since I got elected to office 4 years ago. And you don't see the grumpy faces.
No.
And I've been in other situations in my life where you'll go to a job site or something like that, and they're just, they're not happy.
Yeah.
But they're dedicated. They truly are. And I think if that, it's from leadership on down. George and his staff, they truly care about the service that we provide, about their employees. Are they well paid? Are they taken care of? Are they respected? And I got to tip my
Morale
hat
is
to George
everything.
because.
And you know what? I've noticed that too because George's department is one of the few departments that always sends somebody through leadership.
Yeah.
Every year, and that's and employees enjoy that, and I appreciate that. But that is also sort of a morale thing. I've had many of your landfill employees out there go through leadership, St. Lucie. So
Good
it's
stuff.
We start seeing some utility ones coming too, so we
You do?
send them both
Yeah.
your way. Yeah, it's a great program, and everybody that's come through there came out, and it's really helped the organization, helped the public utilities and solid waste team move forward. So we're excited about being able to partner and
yeah,
continue
I
to send people
appreciate
that way.
that. You guys always have somebody in. His department does. We're going to open it up to questions.
Sure.
Do we have any questions? Anybody want to ask questions about trash? John?
Hi, how you doing? Good morning. Thanks. That's a lot of information. 2 questions. One is, do you have a video of your employees playing with their wolves? I'd love to see that.
He said he did.
Oh, good. And the second one is, whatever happened to 10 or 15 years ago, we were going to come up with something that was going to reduce or zap all of the trash and bring this trash mountain down and start bringing other trash in?
Like a
make money off of
laser?
it?
So that's a great question. So the landfill, the waste energy concept, there's many different ways to do it. And most of it's all through some sort of form of incineration that shrinks it down to neither ash or small pellets and things of that nature. And we look at the different offtakes. You know, there's ways to make certain fuels, certain electricity, different types of byproduct from reducing that. The biggest thing that you want to look for is what runs at a high percentage of success, meaning if you invest all those dollars into it and you're processing the trash, if we're bringing in 1,000 tons a day, so to say, we want this machine to be able to process that, because anytime that there's a shutdown or a stop, you know, what happens with all that, it piles up pretty quickly. So there's very few of those waste energy concepts that run at a 95+% efficiency, meaning, you know, they run in mostly all 365 days out of the year, all throughout the day. So we're trying to find the right one, because when we ask the board and we turn to ask the residents to help get behind and support this, we want to make sure that it meets what we're saying it will. And so it takes a little bit of time to find those that right technology, and then also find vendors that take the product on the other side, and so that way you can help find the best way to bring the best package forward at the least expensive price.
Very good.
It's an
Thank you
ongoing.
for that, John. Mark?
You mentioned to check the numbers on the plastics to see if they're recyclable. What determines whether one is or is not recyclable?
So there's numbers 1 through 7 on the plastics, and each of them represent a different composite of the plastic. We process most of them through. I'm not sure. I think there's 1 or 2 numbers that end up the machine can't process, so they just fall to trash. So on the website we kind of identify those numbers and say you can take that particular item, and yes, you can still put it in the recycling bin. We're okay with that, but you know, in full transparency, not every one of those are we able to capture and recycle, so some still falls to the wayside. But as we're looking to improve that machine, because we started in 2014 and we did an upgrade in 2017, and there's actually newer technology out that'll help pick up more of those items. So we're actually in talks with the vendors to see about another, you know, expansion onto that machine that could then recover all of those materials as well and have that. But I can get you that information.
It's a great question.
Nice.
I actually had a question for the commissioner, if I can ask it.
Sure.
Here in South Florida, one of the big things is if you own a home and you want to remodel, it's a huge cost to actually have to pay architects or engineers to design basically everything. Anything from a basic wall, adding a window, you know, adjusting a window. You have to go and pay an architect or engineer to tell you something that should be standard.
Or
You need
hire a
2 by
subcontractor that's licensed and that can do that for you.
Well, that could be extremely expensive as well. But as far as, let's just say, if you go to Home Depot right now, you could buy a book and it can tell you what the standard is. Why doesn't the county offer a book that we can buy to show us what the standard is, and we can pay for the inspection to make sure it's up to the standard? Let's just say if you want to adjust a wall, it needs to have, you know, whether it's a wood wall, it needs to have, of course, brackets every so often. That can be standard, and it can hold up to the winds and so on and so forth. So when could we do something like that, or why can't we do something like that?
Well, let's drill down a little deeper on that. The first thing, and I know that any elected official in this county, is the safety and well-being of our citizens. Number one, for me, and I believe every one of the other commissioners and elected officials. So you can YouTube something. I've tried it at home to do things, but sometimes I won't play with electricity. I'll replace a valve, a toilet seat or something like that where you don't have to get a permit. But when you go into replacing windows, especially with the storms that we get here in this state and some super storms, I mean, yesterday, for example, we had a tornado possibly touch down in Spanish Lakes where houses were wrecked. And the American Red Cross had to come in yesterday and help these people, one, for where they're going to live, give them places to stay and things of that nature. So I would tread very lightly on that. And I understand where you're coming from because you want to save the consumer money. But the permitting process that we have in this county is fast, it's expeditious, and you say it's pricey, but can you put a price on safety of and the well-being of our citizens? Because if we change laws or change things, the first time someone gets hurt, someone gets electrocuted, or the windows fall out and a baby or something, I'm thinking hypotheticals here, it's going to fall back on our lap saying, you permitted this. And I want to tread, I'd like to sit down with you more and talk about it, but my first reaction is the safety and well-being of our citizens.
My issue was that I wasn't asking to lower the standards. Like, you still have an inspection process to make sure it's up to standards, but simply to standardize certain things so that people can easily find that you do not have to pay $500 or $1,000 for an architect or engineer to tell you a window needs 13 screws, or a screw every so often. Something that could be easily standardized and put into a book, much like you would find at Home Depot, except for up to the code of being able to handle the hurricanes and so on and so forth.
I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll get my aide is here in the audience. You get with her, come in and talk to me about it, and we'll see what we can do together. How's that?
We appreciate the question, but yeah, it does need more exploring. There's always life safety. So, and I run into this a lot in my business too, is I know you can do it, but if we let everybody knock down a wall before we know what wall they're knocking down, you could have catastrophe, right? Because that's why you have an architect and engineer say, yeah, it's safe to do that. Not, oh, you've done that and now it's too late. It's not safe.
And we had an instance the other night at our regular meeting where someone, it's a 3-bedroom, 2 bath. Well, now it's 5 bedrooms, 3 baths with no permits pulled. So those are the things you got to be really, you got to drill down and be careful about.
And I think some of them you just need to file for the permit and get an inspection, and you only have to have a contractor if it's a home you don't own. But if you own it and live in it, there are many things, and I think don't hold me to it, windows might be one of them, that you can pull a permit and install them and then have it inspected if you live in it, if it's your primary home. So there are some wiggle room there, but not complete. And don't hold me to it, but it's in the book. Call building. Yeah. Some of it you can do.
Great question.
It is. And a question we get a lot, and I think as a homeowner, I get frustrated too. You got to have a permit for a water heater, but again, my husband can't solder. He's a very handy man, but he can't solder. And what happens if he solders badly? It's ugly, so I get it.
It's not pretty.
All right, very good. Any more questions? But good questions today. I appreciate that. No, all right. What else do we want to talk about? What else do we have going on in the community?
There's a lot of good things going on in our community. We just, again, last week I was present. I don't know if you were there, Teresa. I don't remember. There was a lot of people, but right off of Kings Highway, over by Love's there.
Yes, I missed it.
That's a 1.2 million square feet of e-commerce. These are more good-paying jobs, 700 jobs that are well above the average wage. And one of the things that I focused on when I became a commissioner was not only just good jobs, but career jobs. And we've done a really good job on that, from Indrio Road all the way down to Becker Road, with all these different warehouse facilities, distribution centers.
And that's a spec facility, yes?
Yes.
So it'll be
an investment company from Atlanta, Georgia.
And when we say spec, this is not a bad word, because we've always been deficient on spec builders for warehousing.
That's correct.
We need to have more warehouses that people can rent, and you can't keep waiting for FedEx and Amazon to build it. Nobody else is able to use it, right?
Exactly.
So that is a good project. I missed it. I had another meeting.
And you got Cheney Brothers. There's a lot of good paying jobs here. So that's what I was focused on when I got elected, and I think we've had great success.
Good.
Yep.
Good stuff. Everything's moving forward in the county with trash pickup then. We've got a lot of economic development projects on the way. It is hurricane season. You know, trim your trees early. I can't emphasize that enough. We did ours way back because I knew this whole Waste Pro thing was, you know, so we did ours last year.
But it was amazing. For 2 to 3 months in our county, we got no rain.
Yeah.
And then they say June 1st is when hurricane season is, and what you can't fertilize. You're not supposed to use things like Roundup. And boy, come June 1st, it hasn't stopped raining.
I know it. I know it. Yesterday was a deluge, but that's okay. I want to remind everybody, allthingstreasurecoast.com. If you're looking for something to do, it's a great website for that. And stluciechamber.org for all of our events. We have many that are free and open to the public, just like this one. I want to thank Steamworks again. Thank you guys for bringing in coffee and Danish. We appreciate that very much. The staff here at the show, my staff, Nash and Delaney came in today. We appreciate that. And of course, the commissioner for being with us.
And Mike and Stefan and George has one of his, Rebecca from his staff here.
Very
and,
nice.
It's just a...
And A&G Pools.
And A&G, Art and
Sandy,
Allen,
yeah,
and
Sandy
Travis
and Art
Leonard,
and
yeah.
Travis. We got to thank them too. So thank you everybody for joining us today. We appreciate it very much, and we will see you next time.